Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Yeah. Well, and we talked off air about, you had tweeted Fulton County DA Fani Willis in the court hearing on releasing a special investigative grand jury report publicly. We think for future defendants to be treated fairly, it's not appropriate at this time for the report to be released. Decisions are imminent was the word that perked up all of our ears. So talk to us about that and the timeline for it, as you did before we got on here.
Yes, Fulton County is such a wild card, right? It's incredible to think that the future of the nation may hang on the shoulders of a district attorney in Fulton County. But I think they sent Fani Willis straight from central casting for that role. She's tough as tacks and a good prosecutor. I'm not sure what to expect. Imminent to me, in prosecutor speak means pretty damn soon, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that means that she will indict absolutely everybody she's had under investigation all at once. Prosecutors often like to indict, sort of like singling out the littlest zebra from the herd, the people that you think might be willing to cooperate when they're faced with the risk of going to prison for a long period of time. Maybe we'll see her indict, for instance, folks involved with the Georgia fake slate of electors first, and do that case, see if she can get some cooperators and keep moving towards the top. But we don't really know what her strategy is. Maybe she's loaded for bear. She's had 75 witnesses in the grand jury. She said, the number of exhibits, too many to count. So maybe she's got everything and she's ready to go. Or perhaps we'll see a more traditional staged prosecution.
Because, Joyce, to the layperson, I understand that's why you're saying she may not indict Trump right away. It might be lower people, but to us lay people, we're like, but it's Trump that's on tape. Like, she has him on tape. Why? Yeah. Why would there not be a Trump indictment? Let's start with that.
There is an election interference statute in Georgia that fits Trump's conduct on that audio tape perfectly. There's one issue with it, though. The way I read that statute, it would be a misdemeanor prosecution. Okay. I might be underreading the statute. I haven't gone back and looked at Georgia law carefully, so this may just be something that I'm not fully appreciating. But I wonder if she's not trying to develop charges that would be more clearly felony. Her office and she personally, they have experience with RICO, which is a statute that reaches sort of organized criminality. She might be looking there. She might be trying to develop a stronger case that would involve more time in prison. On the other hand, even a misdemeanor prosecution of the former president would have merit.
Yeah. So, Joyce, the overview in terms of January 6th, the classified documents, and Georgia, what are you feeling in general about indictments? Yes, no, what timeline, etc.?
The timeline is problematic. You and I have talked before, and we still don't know the answer to this. Where was DOJ in 2021, right? They looked pretty sleepy on investigation in that year. Last year in 2022, things picked up. They went to the grand jury. They appear to be working diligently towards holding people accountable, now with special counsel in place. But I do worry about the timeline, because realistically, you cannot indict Trump so late in Joe Biden's first term in office that if Trump were to win, he couldn't end the prosecution. That's sort of a complicated way of saying, tick-tock, it's time to get on with this. The evidence is the evidence. It's never going to be easy to prosecute a former president for the first time. DOJ needs to make an assessment of its evidence and decide whether or not to go and let the country know what its decision is.
Of all people, Joe Walsh, I think former Republican congressman, tweeted, there probably will be violence if Trump is indicted, but that's not a reason not to do it. That's never something that you prosecutors take into account, is it? You're like, people are going to be mad.
No, we don't. I mean, sometimes we're aware that our decisions may or may not influence the public. And we might try to prepare for that. But let me just say something that troubles me about this analysis, that we can't upset the Trump base.
Yeah.
Isn't that more of a reason that this situation cries out for proper adjudication by the criminal justice system? If these people are so engaged in criminality, if, and we've seen Trump do it on January 6th,
Yeah.
if he would whip his base into violence to respond to an indictment, doesn't that tell us who he is, as if we need to know?
Republicans say they won't cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. But can honest, hard-working middle-class Americans really believe what these politicians say? Republicans said they wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Here's what Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett said during their Senate confirmation hearings.
Roe v. Wade. It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. A good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Roe v. Wade. It's settled as a precedent of the Supreme Court.
Roe is not a super precedent, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Well, we saw how that turned out. They played us for fools. Tell your elected officials to keep their hands off of our Social Security and health care benefits. Fool me once. Let Majority Rule was responsible for this message. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.